and welcome back to Aston Martin and F1 Manager 2022. I had to think there for a moment. It's been a while. I've been ill. I'm sorry. Which would have made the uploads on YouTube a little bit weird because I'm ahead on YouTube. So there would have been a kind of a more unannounced gap in the schedules. Should be fine now. That's what happened. At some point, I will probably do an extra stream to get back sort of like 2 races ahead in terms of stream versus recording and YouTube. But for now, I'm only 1 ahead. So if you want to be a little bit more caught up, then pop into the Twitch streams. The link's down below. If you haven't seen the previous episode, that link's down below as well. Right, there we are. That's all the professional YouTube bits sorted. Let's have a look at our situation. I believe there's nothing really to attend to until the GP itself. There's a refurbishment happening tomorrow. Which gets that back to full working capacity. There's not really much we could... Oh, why have you told me that today? Why didn't you tell me that immediately after the race? Because, of course, he broke an underfloor, didn't he? How long does it take? 5 days. Just do one. Because I think we're building an underfloor, so I don't really want to stock up too hard on that. In fact, to be fair, if we lose 3 underfloors in the space of 1 weekend, I'm going to be massively annoyed because we're going to have to make 4 of the brand new one immediately afterwards anyway. So there we are. Race prep. What are the fixed incentives? Ooh, actually not bad. Qualifying position is 1 in 10, so that's just a Q3 equivalent, so let's do that. And we'll just leave it on 1 Q2 because Mick disappointed us last time and the car's not any better than it was then, so sure. Fastest lap we'll obviously leave behind. Can't do anything about that. Mandatory 1 in the top 10. Pierre, please sort us out there. Both drivers... Sorry, the mandatory... The non-negotiable qualifying position streak that it's offered us for this race is both drivers in the top 12. Mick's highest qualifying position is 15th. Whoever set this is a lunatic. Considering the optional one I chose for the race is 1 driver in the top 14, in case something happens to Gasly, you kind of understand what my expectations are from that. Madness. But anyway, that's preparation all sorted. I'll see you for qualifying. Now then, let's not get too excited by 7th and 10th in practice 3 there. They were on 5 lap. They were on 5 lap stints at the end of the session just because they'd acquired 100% and everything about that point. So I figured just make sure we burn another set of soft tyres so they get returned. Can never be 100% certain they will do that of their own accord. But Lance Stroll's had a wild old time. He was worst in practice 1 and then much better in practice 2 and now basically worst in practice 3 again. I don't know what's going on at Alfa Romeo, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, don't get too excited by these. They were on low fuel, soft tyre runs at the end of the session-ish. I say end of the session. Pierre did his halfway through in the end because I clicked it accidentally. He did crash, but only a front wing damage, I think. Just ticking back to 1 time just because of a bit of a weird qualifying session so far. Both Alpines obviously hindered. The last patch brought in improvements to getting out of the way, which seemed to improve, or at very least reduce the problems of getting stuck behind someone on a flying lap in qualifying. Obviously, it's still a problem if you catch them in a corner, and there's obviously a couple of sections here where it's quite problematic in that respect, particularly obviously that tight twisty bit before the main straight at the back. So yeah, Ocon, Norris, Alonso, Verstappen, even Perez and Leclerc, they clearly haven't done proper laps here. Gasly's 4th as things stand because Hamilton is 1st. And I'm in a weird boat with Gasly because I don't know whether to send him out again. I kind of feel like I have to. There's both Ferraris, and there's the Red Bull as well, actually. So as soon as I see Gasly get out of this garage, I'll make sure I click Schumacher as well, just so they are far enough up. Everyone's going again, but of course everyone goes again anyway, because there's no intelligence to the AI in this respect. It's just artificial at that point. Mick 100% has to go again, but he's ahead of Magnussen, I think, already on merit. Vettel maybe already on merit. Stroll maybe already on merit. The 2 Williamses probably. There's 5 people behind him, I think, that are behind him anyway. But you can't be certain. And we'll go on board with Mick just because I think Gasly's obviously that a lot more safer. That's not English. But if there's an incident on this qualifying lap here, if any of the front people have a moment that aren't involved in the bottom 5 right now, obviously the 2 Alpines in particular will be royally screwed. And considering a lot of the problems happened at turn 12 so far, I've noticed in practice, the few incidents that have happened have sort of happened there. The first batch of people are getting through relatively safe. Gasly's getting close to that section now. Last corner had a couple of moments as well. The end of the straight had a couple of moments as well. That's where Gasly crashed, just sort of went straight into the wall. Didn't really bother turning. You know, one of the fundamentals of driving. In fact, a Ferrari's behind an Alfa Romeo there, but they're fine anyway. Today's patch fixed fueling issues, apparently. In a weird way, I was kind of thankful I was ill over the weekend, just because, I mean, I didn't have to deal with any of the fuel issues that was happening in the game since the last patch. I mean, as long as he gets over the line, it doesn't really matter. So Gasly sort of stays 7th. That's actually really good. That's a really good indication. Alonso goes behind him once he's actually done a representative lap. That's a problem. Mick didn't really focus on his lap too much. I'm not confident now. Magnussen's still not crossed the line. Yeah, Mick didn't improve by enough. Still best of the worst. I suppose technically Magnussen's best of the worst. That's why I wasn't confident getting both in. So yeah, Max was the one that caused the incident in practice with Stroll, weirdly. So it's happened again, and cars are coming out already. Perez, Ricciardo, Bottas, Ocon, Hamilton, you'd have to assume as well, all having problematic laps. Alonso and Norris, surprising amount off, considering that Gasly was on used tyres already. I can see one Red Bull. I'm basically waiting for the second Red Bull to get out of the garage. So as soon as I see that second Red Bull, they're the ones just to make sure you're not behind. No, not ahead of. I have to wait for the AlphaTauris because annoyingly they're the next garage up. But I don't really know what you do when you get to the Ferrari/Red Bull kind of level of a car. Because unless you send out your cars first, you're always going to be stuck behind someone that's probably slower than you unless it's a Red Bull or a Ferrari. Right now, it's not too much of a problem that he's behind an AlphaTauri, which are probably slower than him. But yeah, I mean, that's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it. And I know you could always send your car out, make sure your car is last out by enough of a margin that you still cross the line, but that's a different metric on different tracks. Like Canada, there was AI drivers that didn't get across the line. So on board with Pierre as he does his second lap here in Q2. Like I'm trying to think of the order of the drivers here. So Bottas is first to cross the line. He's in the danger zone. There might be Ricciardo second. So if that's those two, then that's two people that can get into the top 10, provided there's no incidents. I'm just trying to see who's going to be worst off if there is an incident. Perez, maybe if he's the first of the Red Bulls. If he's the second of the Red Bulls, and he's put himself in massive danger. Same with Ocon, with the two Alpines who are slightly spread out too. But actually, the majority of the people that could be the ones in danger, Ocon is the first of those two, Perez is the first of those two as well. Ricciardo is actually the second of the McLaren, so if there was an incident with any of these ones ahead of him, he would be in major danger. The Bottas improves significantly, goes 6th. Still behind Gasly. Just actually, Bottas crosses the line with enough time to do another lap if he wanted. Norris is the first one across the line after it's over. Behind Gasly as well, though. I could just tell Gasly not to do this lap. I think there's still enough people who could go ahead, technically. We'll have to let him finish it, just in case. That's not going to get annoying. Albon and Doohan don't improve enough. Gasly technically does improve his lap and actually goes faster than Russell. Good Lord, Pierre. And now we've got to wait for Bottas, because the silly fool didn't hold his run long enough. So both McLarens, both AlphaTauris and the remaining Haas out. It's just the Ferraris, Red Bulls, Alpines, Mercs, and then the good half of the Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin garages. Sick though. First runs in Q3, obviously used tyres. I have to assume everyone else has done exactly the same thing, but obviously in the real world, Ferraris and the Red Bulls would probably saved a set of tyres in one of the early sessions by not running again. But yeah, kind of where you expect for Gasly, 6th behind the 3 good teams, the 3 front runners. But he did beat Russell in the last session, so I'm intrigued to see how this pans out this time round. With only 10 cars, I imagine we can probably just send him out last. I think that's everyone. I know both Ferraris and both Red Bulls are gone, so as long as we're out here, that's fine by me. And flying lap time once again on the outboard for the Q3 session. Hamilton, the man ahead, maybe providing a distant tow if that's a mechanic in the game when it comes to the straights, but everyone's seemingly spread out relatively enough, I think. We'll check the sector times as and when they come in, but the 2 Red Bulls out first, which is eager beaver from them. One of the Ferraris was out quite late. It's Sainz is the one that's out last. So faster in the first sector from Pierre. I mean, you'd imagine this lap to be faster just because it is a fresh set of tyres. One thing I did notice in practice is on those short runs, they did 2 or 3 laps where the lap times were faster than their previous bests. And then on the 4th or the 5th lap, when they were coming in anyway, they still drive normally up to the point where they come in. That lap was slower. So you could see the drop off. But onto the back straight, the main straight, faster in the second sector. Words are hard. Faster in the second sector too. First 2 across the line. Actually, both Red Bulls and the Ferrari got across the line with enough time to do another lap. Bottas doesn't improve. Ocon doesn't improve, surprisingly. Well, this feels like more redundant now. Why has that happened every time? It feels somewhat redundant now, but we know Gasly's gone faster in the first 2 sectors, so what's he done here? A madness is the answer. Gasly splits the Mercs. I don't think anyone else did anything different. Genuinely don't think anyone else moved. For the first time in F1 Manager history, it feels like it was worth it to send Gasly out again. We just had to wait for those 3 to get back in again. 6th and 16th. In fact, it might be 5th because of Max Verstappen's penalty. Okay, so 1 stop is sketchy at best. What? Only a 2 stop is like a full second faster. Sorry, that's not a second, is it? That's a minute. Oh, that's wild. I mean, let's add a new strategy, though. Let's do it the other way around. What? How can an alternate strategy using exactly the same tyres be 1 minute slower? I feel like I'm being lied to with the estimated race time. I've just set up an alternate strategy where you start on the mediums, and it is apparently a minute slower than the same thing, but just in a different order. I feel like there's a bug here. But the one thing this doesn't take into account, of course, is you can get away with pushing these tyres more. Probably. Not that one. Not that stint. Wow, actually, pushing does a lot more here than it does in any other track. Actually makes things slower. What? Something is broken here. Improving the pace target makes the race time slower. It makes the drop-off significantly worse here as well, for some reason. Oh, there's something wrong with Miami, because that cannot be faster than that. But the thing with Miami is I don't think we're that far away from an incident at any given point in time. So having the hards sort of, you know, in the locker somewhere, I don't want to start on hards. I do think this is a lie. I think I might do that with Pierre. I mean, I'll have that one in the bank just in case I need it. But I think Mick can probably get away with... Can Mick get away with that? Or do I just do that the other way around with Mick? Sort of give him the wiggle room for pushing on these tyres. So, in the end, we're breaking the system a little bit. Medium hard soft for Pierre, soft medium hard for Mick. Just sort of giving them a little bit more wiggle room in case we need to push their pace at any point in the races. Just the 1 stop was just too marginal for my liking, and with the updated tyre models, I do think running them longer is more detrimental than it was before. I do think there was a bug in one of the strategies in terms of the estimation, but beyond that, I think this is still the sensible thing to do with a 2-stop.
And this is it, the Miami Grand Prix. And
he did not.
Lights out, and away we go.
And sorry to be anticlimactic for a moment, but in fact, I'm kind of less... I'm wondering whether or not to try fuel anymore from the starts. Pierre's got himself positioned lovely on Hamilton here, actually, to begin with. Is Hamilton on hards? Mick is the only person starting on softs because none of the actual original strategies had a soft to begin with. He's nabbed out one behind. He's nabbed out one behind. It looks like... of course, yeah, Magnussen didn't actually qualify 15th, did he? He was 15th in Q1, but he qualified, I think, 13th. Albon was the one who finished 15th. Now come back already. There we are. But everything is as is. Perez on hard. Verstappen only had a 3-place penalty down to 4th. I'm expecting Max to get Perez relatively quickly here. It's kind of a case of just getting as many places with Mick as we possibly can at the start. Everyone's slowing down dramatically there, but we'll just push him on the first lap and first lap alone. We'll maybe allow the deployment a little longer. It's fascinating that actually it's fully charged almost again by this point. It obviously all gets used on the main straight at the back. In fact, I can see a car out of line ahead, and is it Pierre? It is Pierre. Having a look at Hamilton. It looks like Verstappen's having a look at Perez as well.
Good job.
Well, they actually get a lot of their ERS charge back at the end of that. When they use it again out. Basically, the entirety of the ERS deployment is on that last straight and following corner.
Let's see what happened there.
We'll watch it again.
Gasly.
I mean, Pierre's doing an absolute madness at this end of the grid. What are you doing? I mean, I kind of worry about what happens when our car starts getting good. There's one thing getting a good car for Schumacher, who is obviously at the other end of the grid, but Pierre's going to be winning races. In fact, carnage between the Red Bulls has just allowed Gasly to swoop in. And because I know they don't deploy until the back line, I'm just going to hold on deployment. I know I'm going back and forth here, but there's a move here on Max, and Perez goes somewhat defensive and closes him off, and Gasly's like, all right, thanks for that. Gasly has a real chance to get kind of stuck in a very top-end DRS train here. if we're lucky. But yeah, we need to stop pushing his tyres now. Perez's defense here is actually really good. I might make him deploy on the back straight just because Perez is on hards. Because I kind of want him to do the same thing he did to Hamilton. I noticed that Mexico Ricardo. We didn't see a replay for it, but if he can get Perez, he's on the inside. Is he going to outbrake him? Yes. So he's basically out of charge, but that was kind of necessary.
DRS will be active.
Actually done the fastest lap there, has Pierre, without any form of DRS. The interval to the Ferraris is probably worth attacking the tyres for. I kind of want to see if he can get in a DRS range. The problem is, I think there's a DRS here, which will be active now. I mean, there's no visual cue the DRS is active, but I think it is. I mean, Alonso's out of a train at this point. That sector we are phenomenal in. We gained about 5/10 through the twisty bit. You can see our low-speed cornering is insane. I don't think DRS is active yet. I mean, it should be active, but I don't think it is. Well, at the very least, the graphics aren't working for it. As the Red Bulls have a little bit of fun with each other there. Yeah, I can't stay with this, and I'm not actually gaining over the course of a lap. So I kind of have to hope one of the... Oh, all of a sudden, we're within half a second of the Ferraris. I don't know what's just happened there. Did they ever look at each other going into that stretch? But we're within half a second of the Ferraris, and we don't lose them, I don't think, at this point. So, I mean, Miami delivered last time, if I remember rightly. It was I think it was our only points until Singapore. Oh, until Hungary, sorry. Yeah, we'll have DRS on the Ferraris now as standard. So, we don't need to attack the tyres quite as badly. Verstappen has taken Perez, I've just noticed. Of course, the two Ferraris have got DRS on... Well, one Ferrari's got DRS on the other, so... They're sort of just moving together. But we are so good in this section. And, of course, we'll have DRS here. Again, the Ferrari's DRS flap seems to be working animation-wise, but ours and the Red Bulls aren't. We can see it's on. Ooh, Sergio Perez nearly went in the back of Max there. But we have lost Hamilton and Russell. They're not in the train. They do have Bottas for company. Ocon has Alonso, Norris, Doohan, Magnussen and Mick at the back of this train. Mick's a little bit stuck at this point just because he's in the back of a 6-car train that's being led by an Alpine, which is notably faster than him. If he can get Magnussen, that'd be great. I'll allow him to use overtake mode. Which I now realise probably won't do anything until he actually gets on the main straight, but Mick against his former teammate could not be any closer if he tried. Of course, he gets DRS here, doesn't he? But so does Magnussen. Oh, lovely switchback by Mick there. Is he on the inside? Verstappen got Gasly. I kind of thought everyone was going to be going status quo up there, but in the DRS zone? I mean, they all had DRS in each other, I think, but... Yeah, good move by Max. In fact, Gasly has a little look back, but just positioning. At least there's not any, like, weird yielding there anymore. That costs, you know, Pierre significant time. I don't know if that was one of the spots where there was weird yielding before, but it kind of looked like it could have been one. Right, so Mick. Overtake mode on. Go for it. Try and get at least one of these. The problem is just this sheer amount of cars. Pretty much someone's already always blocking him off. Like, he hesitates because there's a car in front of him, even if it's like 2 cars ahead. There appears to be like a weird AI kind of hesitation. The problem is I can't tell him to attack the tyres because he's kind of on track now. I mean, in a few laps' time he can, but I can't hold him on that forever. So, in fact, just harvest instead, Mick. Gather that ERS charge. Gasly ends up at the back of this 5-car train at some point, then I'll just turn to harvest off Perez. But for now, in fact, I might just let him try and do it through this part of the lap. In fact, he's already recharged at this point. You recharge through the non-straight part of the lap, and then you use it all in the straight part, this bit. It's really weird. It's kind of very distinct sections here when it comes to ERS charge, recovery, and deployment. I want to make sure Mick doesn't lose Magnussen by harvesting here. 7/10, still 7/10. Closes back up here with braking. Because I think that counts as a low-speed corner, so we're good in it. Just worry about Mick a little bit there. Just getting close to a second. In fact, he does get to a second. He'll catch up, though. There we are. Mick got tantalisingly close to being a second hour range, but he's fine now. So did Gasly, actually, but I didn't get quite as much of a charge up on Gasly. But Perez is falling off. Why is Perez losing time? He seems to be okay now. Oh, Mick's just entered his pit window already, has he? 55% on his tyres. He pits in 3 laps time. We'll hold the charge because we'll deploy that on the other side, but... So switches to the inside here. Does he do it this time? No, okay. It's a big old train, this, from Ocon. Counted as a failed overtake, so that's at least 1 point. I suppose no one gets their nose in through this bit, like before he goes into the left. But get him. Is he struggling to keep up now? Maybe I don't go attack. Maybe he does go aggressive.
Back off. Copy.
Ooh, Verstappen's got Sainz here at the other end. Gasly's still in the mix, remarkably. I mean, what a race this is just in general. I know it's all largely DRS train based, but there's action up and down the field. Verstappen in second, Sainz down to third. Pierre's on his tail. I almost feel like I have to go attack on mixed tyres just to make sure he gets the lap time out of them. Although Magson's fallen off this train now. I wonder why. He's on mediums, but is it the fact that Ocon's hard tyres are on like 80% still, so his lap times are... Oh. I mean, you've lightly brushed the barrier there, Mick. Back tyres had a bit of a clock there, but it doesn't look that bad. So the car should be fine. Oh, it is. Good, right. Well, he was about to pit anyway, but that's race over.
Box.
Did you break anything else? Just the front wing? Yeah, that's what it looked like, so that's so annoying. I mean, Mick wasn't in the running for points, but I mean, he kind of was in the running, I suppose, because he was at the back of the train that started in 9th. But I kind of expected that to break up with Mick's probably outside of it. Shame that he had to come in early.
Reminder on pit limiter.
There's yellow flag in sector 3. Zhou's done something, I think. Not Zhou, Stroll. I forgot they'd moved teams there.
It's Lance.
What's our old buddy, old pal? I mean...
And this is where they spun out.
I mean, if we were concerned about Mick Schumacher, at the very least, we were immediately reassured that getting rid of Stroll was a good idea. Thanks for that immediate pick-me-up there, Lance. Where's the car? Oh, there's the car. We decided to do the pit stop in a different plane of existence. Showing off at this point. So at the very least, Mick won't be last now because Stroll's obviously had a moment there. At the same time, I don't think I should ever really attack these. I mean, I know I could probably attack a little bit, but I'll just attack for 1 lap. I'll deploy for 1 lap.
We just need to push now. With tyres are happy to push.
Just get something out of these, really. Then bring it back to standard. Just sort of get a good lap in. Does that mean we're getting close to Gasly's pit stop lap? We are, yes. Well, we need to watch this. Gasly's got Perez, and he's not even in the window for Perez. Oh, Perez has done a jammy thing. He got overtaken by Perez at some point, which I didn't even notice. He's back in 4th. His tyres are going off. He's pitting in 3 laps. I can't go attack, otherwise his tyres go off. Should have really been paying attention to Pierre here, really. Actually, how far back has he come out?
Oh, they've run wide.
How close to Mick is Albon now? All right, a couple of people pitted, but, I mean, Albon's not massively far ahead of Mick. He's only 9 seconds. If we can get someone to split the difference, Sonoda's actually ended up behind him, which is good. Who spun there? I didn't pay attention. So, hards, attack. Oh, it must be Perez who had a moment, because he's 5 seconds behind. Yeah, I see what happened there. Ooh, that's a very poor place for Gasly to have come out of.
Looks like Aston Martin have just gained a race position.
I'm ignoring that highlight because let's switch to this one. I didn't come back and I realised because corner 1 and oh, he's done it again.
What a spin out.
Stroll is useless. He got a 6th in Singapore in real life, which confused the hell out of me.
Will they be able...
To be fair, in real life, Stroll is a relatively good wet weather driver. So I probably shouldn't have been that surprised. Okay, Gasly's taken Doohan, which was probably the most important thing to have done there, because... Hang on a second. Sainz is pitted after Gasly, and he's ended up behind the Alpines. I apologise for not paying full attention to this, but... The Alpines are about 1.6 seconds behind Gasly. Now, I can only assume he pitted ahead of them? But he's managed to get Doohan, Ocon, and Alonso then, in that case. But Sainz has ended up pitting behind these two, and of course Sainz was ahead of him in the road, so I'm now very fascinated to see where Leclerc comes out. Not Leclerc, Verstappen comes out. Their pit stop seems competent. Of course, they're only doing 1 pit stop, though. They're going to be trying to go to the end on these. Yeah, he's behind Gasly. He's definitely behind Gasly. He can't make his mind on where exactly he's feeding into this train, but he's come out ahead of the Alpines. So we've got the overcut, but we've also been driving for about 10 laps longer. Sorry, undercut. And we're praying that soft tyres at the end are going to be doing an absolute madness. Leclerc's still not pitted either. I think the longer they stay on those mediums is a huge risk. But Stroll's finally pitted in, I think.
That's it.
He's behind Mick anyway. Or he's just overtaken him legitimately. Stroll still hasn't pitted, so that's actually just a legitimate catch and overtake. So we are seeing the differential between old mediums now, which is good. So old tyres are now properly slower. Because I think even after the second spin, Stroll was still about 5 seconds up the road from Mick, and he's caught him now. So it's good to see that. He's changed those tyres in advance again. The bugs happen again. He's on mediums too, as is Vettel. So there appears to be a visual bug where cars that are coming to pit, their tyres change before they actually do the change. But Leclerc and Hamilton are in now off their mediums. Bottas is clearly another one of these that's about to come in. It's clear. It's basically a situation where the game is clearly actually pitting them on this lap, and it's just visually changed the tyres before it's actually happened. It's not game breaking, provided the actual performance doesn't change. If the performance is the same, it's just a visual bug. It's not really the end of the world. It's just quite funny. How's the gap to Albon? Still about 9 seconds, all things considered, for Mick. I don't think Mick's actually going to do anything there. But Gasly's up to third. Russell and Perez haven't pitted. In fact, Gasly's leading the race now. Leclerc's come out behind. Leclerc's come out behind and more than a DRS zone behind. I suspect he will catch, but Ocon is kind of removing Sainz from the race a little bit. Did Mick just overtake someone there legitimately? Vettel. It seems like Vettel. Oh, Vettel's just pitted. That's why he's got past him. Okay. Like I said, I knew he was about to change his tyres because he was part of the tyre glitch. But yeah. He's still about 10 seconds behind Albon, which isn't great. But the fact that Mick crashed and still isn't the last driver on track is good going from him. Mick crashed and had to replace a front wing, and he's still in the same place where he started the race. So, that's good work, apart from the actual crash part of it, of course. But Perez is pitting now. I don't know why he's been alerted to for Schumacher. Perez has come out 8th. I know he had a moment before. 9th? Oh, Perez's race is over. He's come out behind Hamilton. He's come out with Hamilton. Yeah, Leclerc did catch Gasly, clearly. And Stroll still hasn't actually pitted. The idiot. Yeah, Leclerc's overtaken Gasly now. I was never expecting to win this race, so this is hilarious. We already watched that because I suspect this will end up being the thumbnail.
Watch this. There's Leclerc.
If there's a good angle on this, oh, that'll do me. But yeah, easy to like DRS. Gasly did have it. This is going to work out so much better for Gasly once he actually has the DRS. Right, so those three have pitted now. I'm sorry. Okay, so Gasly has enough pace to get Leclerc back. I didn't watch the replay. I do apologise. So it's good to know that Gasly's got enough to sort of stick with these. But Sainz is a full three and a bit seconds behind now. They got held up by the Alpines. Perez and Hamilton obviously that much a bit further back. Russell's a bit further back, Bottas a bit further back. There was a train between these three early on, but they've separated out during the pit stops. They might have been on different strategies. There's a new train with Magnussen at the front. Did he start on hards? No. But Magnussen is 9th, legitimately? Everyone that's gone on to mediums now will pit for another set of mediums before the end of the race. So they're all on effectively the same number of pit stops as Gasly is. Anyone that's on hards now, apart from Gasly and Mick, will not be pitting again. I'm trying to work out how Bottas... So Bottas and Leclerc just stretch their medium stint as long as possible. I guess.
Good, come on.
I guess there's sort of just two differing thoughts on when to pit off mediums. Done it again.
Moved up a plate. See what happened there.
On the main straight.
This is the Aston Martin.
I mean, this is a lovely sort of three-way fight between Gasly, Leclerc and Max.
And they clear it. Big move for them.
Fair enough.
Race position gain.
Good for them. Imagine the Ferrari. Imagine these three are just going to rotate places now. I fully expect Leclerc to get ahead here, and he has. And yeah, we'll just keep getting him back. So whether or not Sainz catches up or not, I don't know. But Mick's actually on the tail of Ricciardo, at least now. Ricciardo pitted into Mick. And Ricciardo will pit again, actually. So they're legitimately fighting again. But Mick's tyres, obviously, he pitted a lot earlier onto these hards. So Ricciardo's really going to help him be dragged along here. Trying to see if Ricciardo's actually closing on Albon. He is ever so slowly, so in fact Ricciardo is helping us close in onto Albon. Thanks, Danny. Although Albon's about to hit the back of the train. Oh, it's a train that starts with Doohan, actually, so... Oh no! Vettel got Schumacher and it ruined the DRS train. What are you doing, Seb? All right, Mick, so stay behind him then. Oh, the pit window's active for Mick. He's on 52% tyres, I suppose. So annoyingly, actually, Mick's still 9 seconds behind Albon again because either his tyres went off to the point where he couldn't keep hold of Ricciardo and I didn't see it, or Vettel tried something and it pushed them both out of DRS range. If it's the latter, I'm going to be somewhat annoyed. Gasly's also 4 seconds off the lead now. He kind of lost out there. He's got Sainz behind him, though. To be fair, I wasn't expecting him to hold on to that forever. I think he was first to pit out of that lot as well. Yeah, his tyres are the worst of them three as well. But of course, he is going to be pitting again. I think for the next 2 laps, we'll just go aggressive on Mick's driving. He's already lost it, so might as well go all out. We'll start pushing the fuel in the final stints as well, because we are building very gradually a bit of a reserve. In fact, harvest on 1 lap here, Mick, as well. Just get a bit of charge so you can then push on the final stint. So the plan here is to go onto mediums for the remainder. I'm surprised there's not being a safety car incident. How have you caught up? Hang on, how has Gasly just lost like 2 seconds in the space of a few laps? Leclerc's doing 133 sixes and Gasly's doing 134 sixes now. How is Gasly maintaining that beforehand? That's so weird. Like, the tyre differences aren't that much. I don't really know how Gasly was holding on there before. I am comparing to Sainz's tyres now. I realise they are 10% worse for Gasly. But he's giving Sainz a go. All right, making the pits as we needed him to be. So this is all about be doing faster laps than Ricciardo at this point so that he will be faster than, well, hopefully get the undercut on him. I don't know how far off Ricciardo ended up being there. But Vettel was at least 4 seconds off him. He's going to have to contend with a Williams maybe on the out of this. There should be just one on the track immediately behind him here. Yes, okay, so he's ahead of Zhou, which is good. So I think, again, we can allow 1 lap of like aggression. Particularly make sure we can get a second on Zhou here, just so we don't sort of tow him along and make him a bit of a fighter on us. I mean, we might as well watch it. Main straight, end corner, bam. Job done. It's a separate DRS line for the main straight, which is slightly odd. You'd think there'd be a double DRS zone, really.
It's safe to say that went down well with the team.
Just because of the proximity between the two things and the second one obviously being a much shorter straight. You'd think there'd be a double DRS rather than separate DRS detection points, but no. Mick, what are you doing here, buddy? They're on 70% hards. Why are you not pulling away from him? I suppose he had DRS in that zone, didn't he? That's why he's just closed back up again. Yeah, being attacked through this section is where we really build up a second if we can. And it's remarkable how much we gain in that sector. So yeah, just bring him down to standard. That's all I needed you to be aggressive for, was to break that second. Is Gasly's going to have to come in soon? Yeah, relatively soon. If you can stay with Sainz there, I mean, a podium's on here. Perez and Hamilton are fighting behind, and they're a bit close. I say a podium's on here, he's got a pit. Perez, Hamilton, Russell will need to pit. But the thing is, these hard runners will not pit again. Norris is on 51%. These hard runners will not pit again, so they will be very slow towards the end. Now, of course, obviously, the soft tyres that Pierre's going on to will be slow as well in the last couple of laps, probably. But it's this bit here. It's almost tempting to sort of run Gasly maybe as like a lap longer just so he can go a little bit more aggressive on those tyres. Mick's actually doing personal best right now on these brand new mediums. He's going fast on these mediums now just because he's got less fuel than he did on the softs at the beginning. Who's got fastest lap? Hamilton. Interesting. I know I'm focused on Mick here, but how far was he off Tsunoda? Because he was 5 seconds behind at one point. He's 2 seconds behind. When he came out, he was 5 seconds behind Tsunoda. Good lord. Tsunoda's tyres are on 51%. That's why he's gained 4 seconds on 1 lap. His last lap time still includes his pit stop, so he's not actually done 1 full lap yet. So he's gained this much on 1 lap. We'll see the comparison here. Tsunoda he's got DRS on him. A 136.2, was that updated yet? Mick's done a 133.8. Mick's doing the same pace as Verstappen. Mick's just done a 133.8. He was a full almost 3 seconds faster on that 1 lap. This is where Mick comes into play now. How many people can he pick off? I'm not expecting top 10. There's a 20-second gap to Vettel alone. But if he can get through 20 seconds worth of people, then he's in this sort of pack. And don't forget, actually, Ricciardo pits, Doohan pits, Ocon pits. We'll compare it to leader. Ricciardo's more than a pit stop ahead of Mick, as is Doohan by a significant margin, and obviously Ocon too. But they'll be going really slow here. Mick picks off Tsunoda here, surely. Yeah, easy done. Is Gasly still with Sainz? Gasly still with Sainz, so Sainz is sort of saving Gasly here a little bit too. They're both losing time. They're both losing time on Perez behind and Verstappen ahead, but he's sort of keeping Gasly in a bit of a fight here just because he's providing DRS for him. And the pit window opens in one lap. I don't think I go aggressive on Gasly immediately. I think I sort of just wait a lap and then do 2 laps of push. Okay, well the animation was a bit weird there because Gasly went inside Sainz, but we got away with it. Mick's already a second ahead of Tsunoda. So, Mick to Vettel. How long is the pit stop here? Because... well, there goes Perez and Hamilton, so I think Ricciardo might be safe then. Because if they pit a similar time, that's, what, 24 seconds? You did get held up by Tsunoda a little bit. I think Ricciardo will come out comfortably ahead of Mick. Doing, obviously, way more comfortably than Mick. Ocon, once again, going a few laps later than everyone else, just being different. Yeah, Mick's just started the back straight and Ricciardo's entered the pit lane, so I think he'll come out ahead. So points not on the table for Mick. We can rule that out now. But Gasly is 4th. So Gasly is 4th and will probably come out behind Bottas thinking about it. Gasly is like 20 seconds. But out of the 4 drivers immediately behind him in sort of pit stop range, Bottas is the only one that won't pit again. In fact, why are they going on mediums? I suppose, yeah, medium was the only one that would last from this lap. So we're now 2 laps to go. Aggression.
Push now.
Did you lose DRS on Sainz there, Pierre? You did. Damn it. Yeah, Ricciardo came out 4 seconds ahead of Mick, so we now know that the pit stop is about 19 seconds then, because 20 seconds, because he was about 24 ahead. So that's good to know then, because Bottas is basically exactly 20 seconds behind Gasly at this stage. So if we can build that, that's why I can't save his ERS at this point. Leclerc and Verstappen are still fighting at the front. The last few laps of this are going to be fascinating, as someone's had a moment. Oh, Leclerc on ride. Some of the hard runners have pit for softs, which ruins Mick's race entirely. Oh, there was a normal... it's the strategy that Pierre's on, but we manipulated it. There was a strategy for medium hard softs. I forgot about the regular strategy of medium hard softs because it's what Pierre's on. I thought I'd created both of those strategies. Oh, well. So some of those people who went in early for hards, that's why there was a difference. And only went late for hards is actually holding out here. So Verstappen, Leclerc, Bottas, Alonso, Vettel, they're all just doing medium hard. So there goes any chance that Mick had of doing anything really significant in this race. Sainz looked closer there. No, just no further. Somehow I managed to click onto 16 times there, so we missed the entire pit stop. My mouse is doing this weird thing recently where sometimes it feels like it does a double click. He did come out ahead of Bottas, literally just ahead of Bottas. I cannot go aggression on these tyres at all, as much as I want to clear Bottas. But Perez and Hamilton ahead. Have they done their second? They have done their second pit stops. How are they ahead of Pierre? Oh God, their lap times on the new mediums undercut Pierre. Oh, I didn't see this. Oh, I missed that. Bottas is outside of a second. That was really quick work from Pierre there. Mick hasn't really closed in on those ahead of him now, unfortunately. They are fighting each other, but I wonder how late I can actually just get away with sort of pushing fuel. I'm just trying to work out... Hi. I'm just trying to work out how the medium runners are doing similar laps to Pierre right now. Because that's very much ruined this strategy. Because Pierre's not getting closer to them. Oh, he is now, slightly. He loses them in DRS zones is the problem. I dare say I might need to do 1 lap of attack. I mean, it's still a good result, but it is frustrating that it's not worked as I hoped. You know, being one of the big 6 is fine, but it's done a 133.0 there. Paris has done a 132.7, and they're on medium tyres of similar power. So, I mean, I don't get it. Mick has closed up on these two a little bit, but Vettel has fallen through here. Did Vettel have a moment? Because I'm pretty certain Magnussen and Ricciardo were fighting each other. Oh, Vettel's one of those people on old hards, isn't he? So he's fallen through. I think that's what's happened there. Yeah, he's going like a full second slower than Mick. Mick might get Vettel by the end. Okay, so the plan didn't work, but strategy didn't quite work. Mick will get Vettel, I think, by the end of it. He's 1.5 seconds behind and there's 3 laps to go. Huh. Vettel and Leclerc are untouchable at this point, I think, but Perez, Hamilton and Gasly, Sainz, 3 laps to go, although they're nearly 2 laps to go. The gap from Sainz to Perez is 3 seconds, and Sainz has 30% mediums left. So I'm very intrigued to see if Perez catches Sainz here. I mean, Sainz is still doing 134.7s on hards that are basically dead. The tyre model still isn't great. Like, he's on 30% hards, he should be doing like 140s. Like, Joe down here on 37%, 136. Although he might be part of a lapping situation. Like, Mick was still vaguely competent. He's actually just done it. Didn't catch the replay. Mick on still vaguely competent mediums is doing 133.7 there. And Sainz has done a 134.7. He's 1 second slower than people with actually good tyres. Or decent tyres still. The tyre model still obviously isn't perfect. But Perez is almost within a second. He will get him in the final lap. I'm watching Perez on the final lap because Gasly's sort of in a world of his own here. Might as well go attack on his tyres just because... Don't really know why I've not told Mick to deploy here just to see if he can get anything.
Use energy if you need.
Just make sure you clear Vettel, please, mate. We gained so much time in this section. 6 tenths to Vettel. Coming out of it, it is 8 tenths. 2 tenths just by going around those corners. 3 tenths by the time DRS activates, but of course he'll get back in it again. We are so good at that through that section. Being like the third best team in low speed corners makes us imperious through those corners. Perez is on the back of Sainz. He will get him. It'll be a podium for Perez. I wonder how close will Hamilton get by the end of this? Perez, mate. Oh, mate. How have you not done that?
Max Verstappen over the finish line.
How do you not make that work? I ruined Gasly there. That's on me.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Very good points for the team. P1. Wait 5 seconds.
I mean, it's still a 6th, let's be real. But I didn't notice the undercut happening with Hamilton and Perez. I should have put him on mediums then. He should have had more than enough to do. I didn't actually increase his fuel at any point. Might as well push it out. I forgot about fuel. We might as well watch Mick get across the line. Yeah, 1 error, 1 front wing change. The fact he still finished 16th is actually quite impressive from there. Like, it's good work, good recovery to get back to 16th from there. Crashing, ending up at the back of the grid before you've even changed the front wing and still finishing ahead of 4 other drivers. I mean, one of them was Stroll, who, you know, had his own moments, but still good work. Get a new line, Crofty. Genuinely, did they only record 1 line for that? Because if they did, that is not great. I forgot Pierre started 6th. I thought he started 8th. The only person who changed, the top 4 changed just by Max Verstappen working his way through it. Everyone else finished where they started in the top 10. That's kind of a depressing race, really. Apart from that, Tsunoda takes bragging rights in the bottom 2 there, despite making an extra... What happened there, Zhou Guanyu? That's strategy. I mean, all things considered, a very boring race. It felt like there was a lot of action on track, a lot of overtakes, a lot of DRS trains. But in the end, Tsunoda and Zhou Guanyu swap places. Ricciardo and Albon swap places. Magnussen just holds firm in between them. Doing and Lando swap places. All of these outside the points. And then Max goes through one person, everyone goes down a place to the front 4. That's it. The fact that Pierre actually still ended up within a pit stop of the front 2 is pretty good. Pierre's a monster. 8 points for Pierre, just fall behind Carlos Sainz, finally. George Russell's still behind him, though. Pierre versus George is going to be a thing now, isn't it? 40 points for Pierre in the first 5 races, I can count. He's averaged a 6th place position. He's averaged a 6th place position. When the only thing this car is good at is low speed corners, he's averaged a 6th place position. Madness. Mick stays 12th, and we stay 4th. Because McLaren didn't get any points. Alpine, what are you doing, lads? 1,000 points for both of them, despite the crash for Mick, basically. Because he had 22 successful... Sorry, Mick. I need to call this out. 34 failed overtakes. Also, who are you defending from? I'm trying to remember a time where you were ahead of someone. I genuinely don't know who he defended against. I kind of get Pierre because he was in a rotation situation with the front runners. Mick was at the back of a train and didn't really make any headway at the beginning, and then he had his moment and was at the back of the grid. So I don't remember a moment when he had to defend from anyone. Weird. Still, money. How bizarre. So we'll just do our roundup, make sure nobody's got any bonus points to be using. They do not. So next time, 2 car parts come in. New underfloor, new side pods. And we take them to Spain, the actual testing track. So what a time to bring those in. The one thing that concerns me is Pierre, still only 18 seconds off the lead in that one particular race. If I give him a car that is 18 seconds faster over the course of a race, he's in the fight for wins, whereas Mick's still, you know, mid-table. I feel like Pierre saw the season objective of 5th and above and saw that as a driver's challenge rather than a constructor's challenge. Well, if you enjoyed that race, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. And next time out, we'll be at Spain with those upgrades and seeing how that helps. Until next time, ta-ra.